Dimitri and Kira sat huddled in the corner of the scorched room, sharing a granola bar that Dimitri had pulled from his pack. The sweet, crumbly taste barely registered to either of them as they chewed in silence, their minds heavy with the knowledge that soon, night would fall again. Moving through the purple wasteland was risky, but staying in one place too long felt like a death sentence. The air inside the burned-out building was thick with the pungent stench of decay, and the dim light of the purple sun only made the world outside seem more haunting. Kira nibbled on her half of the granola bar, her eyes occasionally darting to the window. Dimitri remained calm, though he could feel the tension in Kira's body language.
We'll move once it's dark again,
he murmured, breaking the silence.
Fewer of them are out at night. We just need to stay low and quiet.
Kira nodded, though her hands trembled slightly as she clutched the remnants of the granola bar.
I just want to get out of here.
She whispered.
This place, it feels like a nightmare.
Before Dimitri could respond, they both heard it. The rhythmic sound of marching, distant but unmistakable. Their bodies tensed immediately. Dimitri motioned for Kira to stay down as he crawled toward the window, peering cautiously outside. Kira followed his lead, pressing against the wall as she tried to make sense of the noise. Outside, a terrifying sight emerged from the edge of town, a battalion of Dilophosaurus suits, marching in eerie unison, led by none other than BJ, the Triceratops. The suits were all singing the same sickeningly familiar song, I love you, you love me, their voices hollow, distorted by the felt mouths through which they sang. Dimitri felt his pulse quicken, his grip tightening on the baseball bat he held. Kira gasped softly, panic starting to surge within her as she too saw the grotesque army approaching. The two of them crouched low, hoping to stay out of sight as the battalion entered the town, their song echoing through the deserted streets. Suddenly, over the marching and singing, they heard something else, human voices. Yelling. Dimitri quickly looked back out the window and saw a group of ragged survivors rushing from behind a dilapidated building. They were armed with makeshift weapons, handmade crossbows, knives, and blunt objects, and they charged toward the Dilophosaurus-suited army with reckless fury. The clash was brutal. The survivors fought with raw, savage intensity, stabbing, slicing, and clubbing the suited people to the ground. There was no mercy. The Dilophosaurus suits tried to retaliate, but their awkward, cumbersome forms made it difficult to fight back. Within moments, they were overwhelmed, their felt bodies torn and slashed apart. The scene was chaotic, with screams and the sound of flesh meeting steel filling the air. Kira's panic surged. She wasn't sure whether to feel relieved or terrified by what she was witnessing. Without thinking, she shot to her feet and waved toward the survivors, shouting. The survivors paused, their confusion evident. They looked toward Kira but didn't react, clearly not understanding what she was saying. Kira's heart sank as she realized they probably didn't speak the same language. They were from Earth. She quickly remembered the sign they had translated earlier. Welcome to Wisconsin. English. They must speak English. Dimitri grabbed his phone, his mind racing as he quickly opened up his translation app. He stepped cautiously toward the window, holding the phone up as it translated Kira's words into English. He used the translator to say to the group,
We're survivors too.
The survivors, now cautious but intrigued, exchanged glances before lowering their weapons. They gestured for Dimitri and Kira to come down, still wary but no longer hostile. Dimitri motioned for Kira to follow as they crept out of the building and approached the group. They kept their bats raised, just in case, but it seemed the immediate danger had passed. As they got closer, Dimitri could see the exhaustion etched into the survivors' faces. These people had been through hell, just like them. He repeated the phrase through his phone's translator once more.
We're survivors too. We need help.
One of the survivors, a grizzled man who looked to be in his late 30s, stepped forward, his eyes scanning Dimitri and Kira with suspicion but also curiosity. He spoke in rough English, the tone weary but guarded.
Where did you come from? You don't look like you're from around here.
Dimitri hesitated for a moment before typing into his phone, letting the translator speak for him.
We're not. We came from Silver 7. We found a portal, and it brought us here, to Earth.
The survivors exchanged glances, whispering amongst themselves. One of them, a younger woman, stepped forward, her eyes confused.
What's Silver 7?
Kira looked between Dimitri and the survivors. She still felt uneasy, but these people were their best hope for survival.
Our home planet.
She said quietly, using Dimitri's phone to translate.
We need to find a way back, and we want to stop Barney.
At the mention of Barney's name, the survivors grew visibly tense. The older man grimaced, his grip tightening on the club he carried.
If you're here to stop him,
He said,
then you've got a lot to learn. Barney's been in control for a long, long time.
The air grew thick with tension as Dimitri and Kira realized just how deep the nightmare had become.